to galacticconnection.com, one of the most popular blogs on the World Wide Web today for alternative news. Stay tuned for the latest information on our world shift from enslavement to galactic involvement, as well as current intel on any blockages impeding us from our sovereign birthright. Knowledge and self-mastery are key at this time. Our commitment is to present you with the latest breaking conspiratorial articles, off-world messages, exopolitics, cutting-edge technologies and sciences, and also an ever-significant intertwining of spiritual support and metaphysical scope that one needs to dive down the rabbit hole in search for truth with balance. We are truly on the horizon of a new golden age filled with the promise for more love, worldwide peace, and accelerated intuitive skills, where every living being can exist in cohesion and abundance. It is whatever we envision and dream this new world to be. I say to you now, let's redefine the new world to the beginnings of our own precious heaven on earth. Galactic Connection is here to provide the pulse of Mother Earth through an eclectic range of interviews each Tuesday afternoon from 3 to 4:55 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Station 2 on BBS Radio, expanding your perspectives on how we can once and for all take back our freedoms, our joy, and our connection with our mighty I Am presence. Our intention remains true to connect hearts and minds everywhere in order to obtain global unity and galactic and universal acceptance. Our discussions will continue to cover anything to do with galactic society and our involvement with our galactic brothers and sisters. Our guests are experts in their fields, and our radio shows have been coined as some of the most thought-provoking out there. In addition to our daily blog, which runs 365 days a year, we also offer a realm of healing services such as our world-renowned implant removal processes, our spiritual past life clearings, our galactic violet ray alchemy from Alexandra, who shares in the lineage of Merlin, and other cutting-edge healing technologies. Check our site out at galacticconnection.com now, sending you a wave of light, love, and inspiration, and a personal hug and thank you for listening to our Galactic Connection radio show and visiting our blog today.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Alexandra Metters of galacticconnection.com, and today is November 19th, 2013. I want to thank you for coming by my radio show at 4 p.m. on Tuesdays, and I have a repeat guest here today, which is Craig Campobasso, and he is an Emmy-nominated filmmaker. If you've been following the last interview I had with him, he's just a really interesting guy with an amazing background, my God. Everything from filmmaking to coaching, and has played an active role in some of the most outstanding movies out there, such as Frank Herbert's Dune, which is one of my favorites, and Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories. So, as you guys know, I don't really go into a lot of detail on the history or the background of the individual I'm interviewing. You can always look at that on the landing page on BBS Radio or on galacticconnection.com. So we're just going to jump in. So, hey, Craig, thanks for coming on the air with me again today.
Thank you so much for having me. I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you're such a special guy. Can't help
you too.
So everybody knows that I left the last interview with you talking about your other book, which is the Autobiography of the Extraterrestrial Saga, I Am Thyron, right?
Thyron.
Okay, say that again.
Thyron.
Thyron.
I have to
if you think properly. Thyron.
Yeah, it's okay. People call them thyroid, Tyrone.
That's kind of weird.
But it's actually pronounced Thyron, like T-A-R-O-N, like Thyron, but it's a T-H-Y-R-O-N. So.
Well, now when did you release this book? How long?
Well, the book is actually released throughout the world on Amazon.
Okay.
It's also, it's on Barnes & Noble. It's on, people can get autographed copies from me.
That's a little caveat.
Exactly, and I autograph them and all that stuff. And can I just give the website?
Sure, please do.
So people can, maybe they want to check it out while they're listening. It's Autobiography of an ANET.com. And if you go through all the pages, you'll see a lot of the artwork in color, by the way, which is really cool. You can get, and when you get a book, we pay shipping, and you get a free universal seal of protection.
I saw that. Tell everybody a little bit about that. I thought that was really cool.
The universal seal, when I was doing, I worked on this artwork in the book because there's over 40 renderings in book 1, and it is a trilogy, and in book 2 there'll be over 40 renderings as well. But, it took a couple of years to work with the artist that I work with, whose name is Christine Dennett, or she goes by Casara. She does a lot of the UFO, people who have experiences, she paints their experiences. So she's pretty cool. And, when you see things on all these cable shows about UFOs and ETs, her artwork's always in there. Anyway,
oh my God! Are you Craig? I think I know Christine. I just realized.
Yeah, and her brother-in-law is Preston Dennett, the ufologist.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. She's great. I mean, I love her so much. She's like a little sweet angel. So we. Anyway, she, God, I forgot what was I saying before?
Well, my main question was, when did you release the book? Wasn't this released last year?
Oh, it actually was released on 11/11/11. Isn't that great?
That's what I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was released on 11/11/11, and we were talking about the Universal Seal of Protection.
Yeah.
And it is the protection. It's of Archangel Michael, the Archangel Metatron, and Father Melchizedek, the architect of the University of Melchizedek, the universe's spiritual university. So
now I want to ask you: do you feel protected or what when you hear that?
Yeah, pretty much. And I will be honest with you, a lot of people, I actually did them up because when we were doing, when we were doing the artwork, I was really not wanting to do photographs of Satan or Lucifer or some of these other dark beings. And, Christy said, well, you have to give them equal time.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, you're right. And I said, but what I didn't want is for people, dark beings on Earth taking those photographs and worshiping and doing weird things with them. So what Christy and I did is we did a matrix behind the photographs before she painted them. And then Archangel Michael came to me and gave me that symbol to put on the actual photograph so that it could never be used for anything but good.
Oh, that's
so, yeah, so if anybody tried to ever evoke anything bad, all that would come of it would be good. So,
that's terrific.
Yeah, so anyway, that's how it all came about.
Well, I was going to ask you, let's start from the beginning. How did this storyline come to you? Because I have to tell you, I loved this book.
Thank you.
Yeah, I finally got a chance to read on the plane on the way home from a trip. And I read the whole book in that one flight. And it's really good. And I felt as if I had stepped into some other alter life. Right.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of people who read it say that they get activated. They feel the words coming up off the page and actually absorbing into their soul and all with just these great feelings as well.
I agree. I agree.
So But, it came about when I was 26 years old. I had just finished working on Amazing Stories, and I had a major spiritual awakening, and which I won't go into all of that right now. But when I was going through this awakening, I decided that I would write about it, and so I wrote about all these incredible experiences that I was having with master teachers and lessons I was going through and how I was looking at everything differently. And, and it ended up being like 400 pages, and I felt such a great sense of accomplishment, when I finished the book, which was a couple of years, it took to make, to write. And then I was invited to Mount Shasta, and these friends of a friend of mine, they had a big house, but then they also had this big cabin garage, and above the garage was this giant, cabin that had, it was just one big, humongous room with a bed and a kitchen and a bathroom and a living room, and they said, you know what, you're lucky, you get the cabin. I was like, oh man, I was so excited.
Cool.
And of course you could see the mountain from there. And I actually had an amazing experience when I was there with the great IM. And from that experience, when I came back, one of my guides, who was a part of my spiritual awakening, whose name is Father Jacobaba, who you see in the book, he actually came to me within a few days when I got back from Mount Shasta, and he said in a meditation, what would you say if I told you just wrote that book for yourself? And I went, wow. I said, I learned a lot. He said, now it's time to sit down and write the real one.
Wow.
So it was like my, it was my initiation.
Yeah.
And
that's a lot of work. This is how many years?
Oh my God, was it a lot of
yeah.
work? It was a lot of work. And so for the next, 25 years in between casting movies and working on movies, I would work on the book. Now, you have to remember, the original book was over 900 pages.
Whoa.
Yeah, so when book one, at that point, my writing teacher and my agent said, nobody's going to read a 900-page book. You got to figure out how to pare it down. You got to blah, blah, blah. So what I did is I pared it down, and I did a semi-prequel. So actually where this book ends is where the old book used to begin. So then I did the prequel of what happened, and added that. So that's book one, and then book two will start off also with where the book one left off, of course. And
sounds like you'll have a whole series of books.
There'll be a series of books. Yeah, I'm definitely planning on writing a trilogy, and of course, in my mind, I've already got like book 4 and 5.
I bet.
Already itching, and I'm happy to write them if people want to keep reading them. So.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know anybody that wouldn't benefit from this because, as you're reading it, you immediately become Thyron. Is that right? Is that correct? Thyron?
Yeah, Thyron. Yeah.
You immediately step into his shoes, and
yes.
you feel the pangs of all the feelings and emotions that he goes through.
Right.
Because it's so in alignment with the whole starseed alignment.
Yeah. Exactly, and that he teaches at the University of Melchizedek. These star seeds, also known as messengers of various classes, that are coming in and out. You know, Melchizedek is an outer space city of 490 planets.
I loved that. In fact, I was going to ask you a little bit more about describing the Pyramid City.
Oh my God, Pyramid City is like so awesome. It's they call on planet Athenial, Pyramid City at Melchizedek. So when they say at Melchizedek, it means the whole outer space city, and all of the pyramids house the various star seeds from various planets throughout the entire universe. And so the ones that are going in, they go there. They first they're schooled, you know, before there's various classes. So if you're a beginning star seed and you've never done this before, then you go to school first and you learn about the planet that you're going to, and you learn about you know, the dualistic nature there, and you learn about whatever it is that you're going to be doing there, whether it is just to help raise the consciousness because you're raising your own consciousness, or if you're going to be doing a particular duty, and et cetera. And that goes for all the different levels of messengers, all the way up into mighty messengers who come in with more of a worldly plan, you know, with what they're doing to that goes out into the whole consciousness, you know, to
that's
you know,
beautiful.
And into the world. So
beautiful, Craig. Well, I mean,
yeah.
In fact, do you feel as if you yourself were Thyron when you were writing this?
Well, you know, it was an amazing process writing it, because each and every character that's in the book actually came to me and I felt who they were, and they shared their feeling body with me so I could feel it. You know, the most amazing thing was when I saw the artist Christine Bennett. I saw her on a TV show and with her artwork, and I called her up. And I said, you know, would you be interested? And she goes, sure. She goes, sure. And I said, well, let's meet. We met at Follow Your Heart restaurant. And, right, no accident.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And I'm sitting across from her, and she goes, I'm so sorry. I just have to acclimate to your energy. And she was sort of like, you know, a little disjointed. And then all of a sudden she just like took a deep breath, and she goes, oh, there, better. And she goes, wow. She goes, you know, there is this extremely tall man with long blonde hair all the way past his knees.
Wow.
And he's telling me his name is Thyron. And I went, oh, my God, his name's Thyron. I said, if you want the job, you got it.
You sold on that, huh?
She was tuned in. She was so tuned in to Thyron and all of the other the other beings and all that as well. So, but yeah, of course, you know, I mean, I felt a definite connection to Thyron, and I felt a definite connection to all the characters. People even write me to this day, even just if they haven't even read it yet, and they look at the artwork. A lot of people weep and say, I know these people. I've been there.
Exactly. I mean, I'm telling you, man, you feel like you've literally stepped right back into your galactic time frame.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
timeline, you know.
Right.
Tell everybody a little bit about, you know, Thyron's purpose in this series of books. I mean, what is his life's mission, so to speak?
Well, his life's mission is really clear and defined in book one. He is an anomaly, born dualistic in a society that is fully conscious. So I think the anomaly is like 1 in every 200,000 beings are like that, and they are born the ones who are born dualistic because it helps everybody else who is fully conscious to have a reminder around about what it's like to not be fully conscious.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
So, he came up through school with two of his chums, which were Pandosala and Soltar, which they all were dualistic and went to a school for such nature, for the same thing, but his journey begins. He's come up the ranks with his two friends there. They've come up the ranks through the Galactarian alignment of space, peoples, and planets. And they are now full-fledged. They become full-fledged Solar 3 commanders. At the very top tier, there are 3 levels. Solar 3s are the bottom tier. Solar 2s are the middle tier, and then Solar 1s are at the top. And then there's the overseer who oversees the whole Galactarian alignment of space, peoples, and planets. And but Tehran is also a teacher who teaches about duality because he is dualistic, Melchizedek as well. And but then his whole journey becomes even bigger because Archangel Michael, being the sovereign of the universe, is, of course, his counterpart is Lucifer, and Tehran is actually brought into that fold to do a dossier on the Lucifer rebellion. He's asked to do that, and he doesn't want to do it because he doesn't know anything about it, but that's why they want him to do it, because he was not an active participant in it. So
does that sound familiar, Craig?
Yes.
I mean, seriously, does that sound familiar? It's exactly what happens to me all the time. It's like, Spirit is always setting you up for something very, very, off the wall, and if you're open, it's incredible. And that's what I love, the fact that as you're going through this whole story and you're following Tehran's kind of anguish and the fact that he has to have sort of, not a showdown with Lucifer, but, kind of like that. And, and you can so relate to, just the rage about, why can't we just get this job done, and why does the dark have to still be here? Can't we just get this number done, Right.
Really well, my personal favorite parts of the book are when Tehran's interactions with Michael, Archangel Michael, and his interactions with the dark side, because he has to interview Satan and Lucifer and come to his own conclusions. But my favorite part is when he travels a few times we're in Super Universe 7, and he travels to the very first super universe, to the very first world created, which is the realm of the great I Am, and it's a world that cannot be duplicated or destroyed, and it's still where the first speck of light is held in reverence, that came out of the gate. And here he actually meets his own shadow. And that, by the way, that happened to me.
I was going to ask you, because this feels like it was almost your journey too.
Yes, it was. That was actually totally a lucid dream where I woke up in the dream, and that actually happened to me. I remember waking up back in the 80s, because that's when it happened. And I just got up and I wrote it all out verbatim.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's one of my...
Was it like a download?
No, I actually experienced it. So I mean, it was a download in the sense, but Father Jacobova has explained that our souls don't differentiate between the mental, the physical, or the spiritual, because our soul can learn on all different levels, even when it travels at night, and even when it travels to these places where I had that experience. Your soul is gaining all of this knowledge and bringing it back. So, which I just think is really cool. And but those are my favorite. I mean, there's a lot of favorite things that I like, but I particularly really dug the Shadow Chamber.
Yes, that was probably one of the more intense parts of the book.
Yeah, and of course the Lucifer, listening to Lucifer's story was pretty amazing, and that was a download, the whole Lucifer stuff. I remember when it came through, I saw a dark shadow in my office when I was writing, and all my guides said, "Don't worry, it's not what you think it is. It's only consciousness for you to draw from."
How beautiful!
And yeah, so and interestingly enough, those look like the most complex chapters. Those were the easiest chapters to write because they just
came out of you, right?
They just popped out. Yeah, they popped out. And weirdly enough, he does speak in a bit of a Elizabethan language. Right before all of that happened, I was driving home one night, and all of a sudden, just out of the blue, my hand went up in the air like I was on a Shakespearean stage, and I started talking in Elizabethan tongue.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, why am I doing that? Where is that coming from? And then with the next day is when the whole Lucifer stuff started coming out, and I went, oh, okay, I get it. So
I was going to ask you too, did you feel when you were receiving this information, did you get the names of these people, or did you actually take some of the existing ascended masters and archangels, et cetera, and kind of create a persona around them?
Well, like Archangel Michael, all of that, those I had experiences also with them. So
okay.
Yeah, I mean, so it's I want to say the real dude, but it's not the real dude. I was just trying to find them. A little nicer way to put it.
He knows who you're talking about anyway. No matter what you call him, right?
Yeah, but the Maramayams from the world of Marama, all of those names, and
yeah, because I mean, I just feel it feels so comfortable because the names that you've chosen, you can pretty much get an inkling of what it parallels. There's so many parallelisms. In your book, to what's actually, the information we've read and believe to be true. Right,
exactly.
Tell us a little bit about the Maramium capes. I thought that was very good.
Wow, those are really awesome. So when one has mastered, there are initiates as well, and the initiates wear silver capes, and they wear one of the primary colors of whatever they are studying on the inside of the cape, because then it permeates their whole being.
Love
and yes, and really what comes from there is the creation of everything. Tastes, foods, colors, planets, beings. Father Campobasso, by the way, and it's not even going to be in book 2, and I'm sure it'll probably end up in book 3. He actually has an gigantic orb ship called the Seapharaoh, which is made primarily of water, that houses every bit of DNA that's ever been created.
Whoa, that's quite a concept.
It is a concept, and the thing is, it's, and so in New Worlds and things like that, if the Godhead wants it to be something to be introduced, they introduce it, into a new forming world. So, whatever.
You just, not to cut you off, but you just crossed upon something that's really valid here, which is this really a story?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really isn't. Because whatever thoughts we think, we create, and
we create. Absolutely.
This world is already there.
Yeah, but then the masters of Marama, they wear a sun-celled cape, and these capes have very big high back collars that can go up or down, depending on what they prefer, and they have very elongated heads because they have massive brain capacity, and within the robe there are infinitesimal suns that are a sun from every world across all of creation, across all the 7 super universes, and they can access what's going on planets just by concentrating on the sunlight.
Wow.
And they can draw, the other cool thing is that they can even feel the prayers of people coming up into the sunlight, and they can transmute that, and when the Godhead wants something to be sent, they can also send it right back through the sun to be directly absorbed by the people on the planet through the sun's rays as well. But those capes are just beyond the beyond. I mean, they're, I can't wait to see them in a movie.
I know. Well, actually, I can't wait to see them in reality.
Yes, exactly.
Forget the movie, but not that I want to not see your movie, but I was going to tell you too. The whole time I was reading the whole part where Tehran is interviewing Satan, Satan or whatever. It felt so much like the Star Wars.
Right. Yeah.
Like the face down between Luke and his father.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. It was really good.
The old way of saying Satan is Satan, just so you know, the ancient way, and I decided to use that because I always think of the church lady. Could it be Satan?
Yeah, I think we want to avoid that, right?
So I actually made a choice and said, what, I think it would be kind of cool to sort of use that as well.
Funny.
Well,
Craig, tell us a little bit about, you make reference to previous universal programs in the book. What do you mean by that?
Well, previous universal programs are programs that are already going on, that are older than like our universe. So for instance, in the hierarchy, we have the paradise sons and daughters as well, and Archangel Michael is a paradise son. So Archangel Gabriel is a paradise son. These are the actual garment personality of the divine will of the Father, right?
Right.
And the Mother. And so they are the ones who actually rule the universes. So So what happens in the previous universal programs is that those paradise sons are also known as ancients of days, because they're ancient and they have more knowledge. So even if a paradise son of here didn't know how to handle something that's going on, because it's all the archangels and stuff are part of all the sectors. Lucifer and Satan were the ones who oversaw our section here, because we're in the realm of that's called the Satania system.
I thought that was really cool. Tell everybody a little bit more about that, because that's really the crux of the story. Is
right? And of course, Lucifer was, he was. I can't remember, but it was maybe a couple 100,000 years. Because they're created beings, they never die. And Satan was his right-hand man. And how the whole Lucifer rebellion began was, at a certain point, he really saw all of the different worlds and looking to him, instead of Michael, because he was the one who was there and most accessible. And the thought came to him that Michael and these other paradise sons were lying, saying that they were these paradise sons so that they could rule the universe. And in his mind, they were nothing but archangels, just like him.
Right.
He didn't realize that, that really Michael is, the creator father. And I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole thing because I don't want to ruin the whole book for everybody. But that's how the whole Lucifer rebellion began. And so he knew that he had to convert Satan, which actually took quite a bit of doing.
Yes.
And then he had to convert the planetary princes, like the planetary prince of the earth. Once he was converted and Satan was converted, and everybody always looked to all of them because they were enjoyable, likable, charismatic beings. And so that's how a third of the angelic kingdom followed him to understand, believing that. And, when you sort of sit back, you can actually kind of understand it.
Yeah, and that was like my whole point for asking you was, once you express this in this sort of storyline, it became much more manageable to put yourself in the shoes of Satan.
Yes.
That was number one. Number two, it really, really reflected back to you any kind of rage or anger that you might have towards the dark.
Right.
And recognize that, the only way to really let it, to dissipate it is through love. And there were so many, conversations between the various characters that made that very clear.
Yes.
Through all the different eyes of all the different characters. Well,
what it does is the book, even when I was done it, I'd sit back and I'd reread it and go, wow, 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 that came out of me, wow, But what it did was it took these dark characters like Lucifer and Satan that people have this horrific fear of, and they have put them in this really dark, black, iconic cage.
Yes.
Yes. And what it did is it made them human.
Yes, it humanized them.
They'd humanize them so that you understood what happened, and you understood that. So Now, we'll find out what happens to them in book 3.
I can't wait
don't
to
even
read
know.
book 2.
Yeah, book 2, I actually just finished the big first go through of the draft, and I just have one more. Then it goes to editor 1, and then I'll do notes, and I'll go to editor 2, and then I'll do notes, and then hopefully we'll have it out before summertime. And by the way, if anybody does get the book, if you do have Kindle, it's like $3, on Amazon.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's only like $3.03.
Okay, everybody.
So that's
everyone buy this book, because it not only does it support Craig in this awesome piece of work, but it also supports him with The Stranger at the Pentagon film, which needs to get out there because it's a positive way of seeing extraterrestrials, which I prefer to call them as off-worlders.
Absolutely. So, but again, if anybody, wants to buy autographed copies, I pay the shipping, and they can just go to the website, Autobiography of ANET.com, and, just click on the buy book and send me an email, and we'll get you set up, and I'll be happy to personalize it and all that good stuff too. And there's also I Heart Tehran wristbands. So if anybody wants to buy any of those are on the page as well.
Those are cool too.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you about Silvara.
Yeah. Wow.
Silvara is the mother of Tehran.
Yeah.
And that was very mysterious how, they were so elated that she came back, and nobody really asked a whole lot of questions. Was that to represent that she was starting a new incarnation, or
Well, it's it's a whole. I mean, that's like such a whole nother story. I mean, I could write a whole book on that, and I plan to.
Oh my God!
It's what they're called is huroids, and from a planet that blew up many eons ago, there was an overcrowding of souls, and what they decided to do was if those souls wanted to, that they could have an experience instead of waiting for incarnation cycles, because they would have to be matched to a planet of their consciousness. So but in this respect they would become synthetic beings, which means, they're not born of man and woman, but they're totally alive. They don't procreate, but what they do is that they assist, commanders. They assist the whole program at Melchizedek in Pyramid City. And the commanders will have what they call a huroid attendant, which helps them, with their duties. And this is all of their own free will. But,
I did notice too that what you were also presenting was a more harmony between man and machine, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. And but strangely enough, Tehran's mother, who is like the oldest living Pleiadian,
right,
died, and what they did was she went away for a very long time, because they knew that she died, but that the father, who we don't want to mention because that's a surprise.
Right. You're so funny.
I know. But they knew that she was going away for some sort of resurrection, and they didn't know what. And so when she comes back, which is, I don't even know the time of frame. I'd have to look it up. But she is a huroid,
Right.
So, but she is a Huroid in the same body. So in other words, they helped remake her body and put her soul back in it. So now she's connected to all of the Huroids as a mother unit.
Oh my God.
That actually converses and can keep track of all of them, and the intricacies of her going away. That was the thing that took the longest was the actual hookup. So as we're hooked up to our souls by silver cords, she's hooked up to the Huroids, every Huroid by a silver cord. So that's why she's called Silver Coil, when she is her Huroid name.
Oh, so so interestingly, it's almost like the Greys, right? Kind of.
You know what? It is, but it's not.
But it's not. You know. But you've got that kind of mind, the group mind.
It's
type. But
yes,
yet they do have the individual ability to support and assist.
They do, yes, and they will change and evolve. I mean, they're changing and evolving in book 2 as well. You know, and then, you know, at some point there will be, I don't know if it'll be book 4 or 5, but I'm going to do a whole, like, Huroid book, you know, because it's just such a fascinating, you know.
Well, you know what, Craig, this has been a hot topic.
Yeah.
You know, just the whole, how do we embrace, you know, I mean, there's good Greys and there's bad Greys. Of course, that's a very polarized statement, but, you know, there's been a lot of discussion on how do we embrace them because they do have the group mind. How do we honor their life and, you know, inculcate it into our existence? You know, how do they fit into the scheme of things? Because it's such a completely different way of operating than us.
Right.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought that was really fascinating that you brought that up.
and all of those things will be explored too, you know. So
it's just the coolest. Well, tell us a little bit about the activation console.
Well, you mean the consoles on board the craft?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they all are blank. You know, they just look like molten silver or molten gold or you know, various like the main, they call it the Aqua Arena on the giant mothership. There they have the boards. What they do is they just sort of type their hands on them, and their thoughts and energy and DNA goes into the board and creates what they're thinking. So if they were, you know, like, let's say, if they wanted to go in a time funnel to get from one part of the galaxy to the other, they would program on the board, you know, using their thoughts, and they can type across it, or they could just put their hands on it. You know, most of them type because it's kind of fun. But then what will happen is one side of the board will be where they're at, the resonation field, and then the other side of the board will be where they're going and that resonation field. And then they merge, you know, then the one resonation field merges with the other resonation field, and then whoop, they're there. So those are the thought ships that they have, and you have to be fully conscious, you know, of course, to use those. But also the skin of those ships are actually organic, and they are actually fused with the commander's DNA.
Yeah, I saw that. That is so cool. In fact, I was just curious, how many books have you read before you wrote this that were involved with, you know, extraterrestrials, UFOs, ufology?
Well, I have to tell you, I get books and I start them and then I don't finish them. And I have this weird problem that when I start to read, my eyes start going cross-eyed, and within 4 pages, I'm asleep.
Oh.
So,
Well, I better not send you anything that's an article that I've written.
No. I mean, certain things like that. But, I mean, yes, I've read books, but I also throughout my life, did a lot of studying and through my own experiences and through other starseeds, experiences and sharing and all of that. And I find a lot of starseeds going through the same stuff. They just don't voice it.
Yeah, but Craig, what I'm saying is the way in which you wrote this book, it's almost as if you're like a full-blown scholar on the way that the ships operate. Because I remember one of the most totally major change points of my life was when I heard the 1947 interview of the Roswell crash.
Right.
Did you ever hear that? It's 4.5 hours long. I mean, and it was with a so-called ET named Errol, they called her. And
really?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And of course they keep taking it off the internet, and then people keep putting it back up there. But it totally changed me because there were so many things in it that completely supported that which I had always been suspicious of. And one of them was, some of these so-called ETs that we see that have the very big heads and the very long limbs, and they're very skinny and they're kind of grayish looking, and in our eyes they're not very appealing. And
right.
She was basically talking about how, well, that's just kind of a suit that I wore in this reality, that the real consciousness actually resides in the ship.
Oh, wow.
Heavy duty. Yeah. I mean, like, if you haven't read that, you got to go listen to it, read it, whatever. I mean, it's a story, so you can't really watch it on a video. But
right.
I'm telling you, it'll give you some great material.
And what do you look up for it online?
Look up for the Roswell. It's on galacticconnection.com. If you just do a search up there,
cool.
You'll be able to find it.
Okay.
And just put in Roswell interview 1947, and it's Airl, AIRL. You should be able to find it.
Okay.
And it's long. It's going to take you a while, but it was pretty transforming for me, because that's why I'm asking you this. So many of the things that you came up with in this book really showed me that you had quite a bit of knowledge about what's going on, galactically. So I was just curious how much you've really studied.
Well, when I go up on in lucid dreams, I go up on these ships and I see them. Sometimes I see people that I know in my daily life on these ships who don't even know that they're on these ships.
Cool.
Which is kind of cool. But I go up and I see them, and then when I'm writing, and my guides are always there guiding me, telling me, explaining what it does, how it works, what it looks like, and then sometimes they'll actually take me there and show me. Most of the time I have been shown it. Or even if I'm writing, they'll just pop the picture in my head of what it looks like and what it does.
That's awesome. How long have you been able to lucid dream?
Oh, since I was 26 when I had my spiritual awakening.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I'm 29 now.
And holding, and getting younger by the day, right?
That's it.
So is it safe to say that the overall purpose of this book is to kind of present, various incarnations on worlds and how they're coping with duality and how they really ultimately want to transform the Christ consciousness?
The real purpose of the book is for I had not even a concept of what duality was before.
Yeah.
And this book goes into duality on not only the finite level, but all the way up into, Archangel Michael and Lucifer, which is the universal duality.
And I like the fact you do that, Craig, because people perceive that duality only exists in this dimension.
Right, and and the thing is, it's to understand what it is, so that you can look at it, so that you can start merging your light and your dark, and when that happens, your heart rules your mind, not your mind ruling your heart.
Oh, beautiful.
So that's where that comes in, and actually, some people may have it. Actually, what happened to me is when mine merged going through all of this, I actually have on my forehead a heart indentation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did it stay there?
It's been there for years and years since the 80s.
I'm going to have to come up and see this for myself.
Oh, you have to. Oh, my God. Absolutely. Oh, it would be so cool. You just have to come up.
I know. I need to get up there. I'm coming up to LA to see some friends that have been prompting me to come up there for quite some time. So
yeah. Please come and see me. That would be so much fun. That would be so much fun.
I am honored to have met you, and I thank you for coming and talking more about this book. I really feel like this is such an uplifting, really. God, it's just conceptualizing just the whole isness of being out of this third dimension reality, and we kind of need to escape sometimes, and this is really a great way to do it.
We do, and of course the main purpose is once everybody gets their duality merged, then we join universal society on a daily basis, and we get to then integrate with the rest of them and learn more and more about unconditional love and everything that they actually have going. So,
and then we can go off to our galactic missions.
Absolutely. So amazing.
So, Craig, give everybody your website again.
It's Autobiography of ANET.com. You can purchase books there, and I'll sign them and all that good stuff. You can read the foreword by Sylvia Brown there too, and read other stuff, and then. And I'll give a shout out to Stranger at the Pentagon, the movie. And, I'm finished. I'm in visual effects on the short film. And we have lots of goodies that you can't get anywhere else if anybody wants to donate to help us finish the film. We even have a couple of executive producer slots left. So, so you just go to strangeratthepentagon.com. And then then just go to Help Fund Short Film. You can get all the Dr. Frank out-of-print books and posters and all kinds of cool stuff. And
there's a plethora of information.
Yes, and I just have to say, the visual effects are coming out so good. I get so excited every day when the visual effects team sends me something. Like Victor 1, and we're working on the mothership, and just seeing all of this being brought to life is just absolutely mind-blowing.
Well, I can't wait. I plan to be coming to your movie as well, and I know our whole community is just grateful that there's people like you that are bringing light into the world of ufology instead of darkness. I mean, that's the part I really honor you for.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you. I also want to let everybody know, thank you all for all the orders for the implant removal process. I did want to give everybody the heads up. Just be patient. There is a waiting list, but we will be getting to you, and get ready for your lives to transform radically.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah. So everybody take care. Thank you so much for this day with me, Craig. You're always a delight.
Thank you so much. I'm giving you a big hug through the phone.
Yeah, you too. I appreciate it. You take care now.
You too. Thank you. Blessings,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.